is now drowning in an indescribable emptiness.
Guys, leave it to the professionals here. I got the sound. You already know what time it is, everybody. It is Big Boy Hunter x Hunter recap time.
Kurapika is now drowning in an indescribable emptiness.
Okay, so it is time for this big ass Hunter x Hunter recap. This is not intending to be a very in-depth explanation to the Succession War arc up to this point. This is more of a complete idiot's guide to the Succession War arc. If you want a more in-depth look, there are videos to do that. I think New World Review, I think his name is. He has like an 8-hour Succession War arc video that literally goes through all of the super duper nuances of the arc. That's not going to be that. I'm going to go through it in as much general way as I can without getting into the nitty gritty. I'm going to leave out theories for the most part. I'm going to leave out specific battle moments. I'm not going to get into that too much. The dialogue, I'm going to be very general about. So, it's going to be a general overview of the arc. I've written what is a 21-page script, and this is me just being general as I possibly can. Without further ado, let's get started. We are going to start with the events leading up to the Succession War arc, because a lot of the things that are going on the boat require a lot of context as to why are we there in the first place and the different characters that are there and their motivations for being there. So let's start out with the thing that starts it all off is that one day, the king of the Kakin Empire, Nasubi Hyogoro, announces that he is going to be leading an expedition into the Dark Continent with Beyond Netero, the son of Chairman Netero, as his guide. The Dark Continent is the wider world of Hunter x Hunter, where unknown dangers and treasures lie. There have been 149 undocumented expeditions, but only 5 expeditions have come back with survivors. And every time they've come back, they brought back an entire new world-ending extinction-level threat back with them. I'm not going to get into all of them because it's not particularly relevant to the arc. But just, if you want an example, Alika is currently infected with one of them. The what was it called? The codependent virus.
Manifestations of codependence.
Yes. So, that's the kind of shit that brought back. And, it's theorized that the Chimera ants are a result of an undocumented expedition to the Dark Continent. So it's bad news. To start. What makes it worse is that Beyond Netero is going, and Beyond Netero is like his dad in that he is a Hall of Fame smoke wanter, and everybody is scared of him, particularly wanting to go because everybody knows that he's going to take a path untraveled and inevitably, upon his survival, bring back a 6th calamity, which nobody wants. So, the V5, which is the governing force within the Hunter x Hunter world, has to pull off some fucking political maneuvering to strike a deal with the Kakin Empire in order to accompany them on this expedition. Their deal is that essentially they will induct the Kakin Empire into the V5, making themselves the V6 now, in exchange for allowing the Hunter Association to tag along and supervise Beyond on the trip to the Dark Continent. And of course, in Hunter x Hunter fashion, it's also not that simple because there are a couple of stops along the way that they're actually going to do. Really, the first leg of the voyage is to get to this uninhabited new continent that the Kakin Empire will claim is the Dark Continent and rule over that. And the rest of the Hunter Association with Beyond will continue on into the Dark Continent and do their thing there.
Schwindel.
Yeah, big boy Schwindel time. So you know, and of course, everybody's just kind of going along with this, but everybody is on guard because everybody knows that Beyond fully intends to escape the Hunter Association's grasp as soon as they land on the new continent. So they're just trying to. The rest of this part of the arc is them trying to maneuver and put in stopgaps in order to prevent Beyond from doing that and make it a little harder for him. And that's where our boy Kurapika enters. One of the first things that the Zodiac set out to do is to fill the rat and the boar positions that Pariston and Jing left vacant. They reach out to Leorio because of his respect, because of the respect he garnered throughout the Hunter exam, the Hunter election arc, and through his recommendation, they get Kurapika on board. Mizai Storm at first goes over to offer him the position. Kurapika is initially uninterested, but he is convinced when Mizai Storm tells him that one of the passengers that are on board the journey has the remaining eyes of his brethren. So that changes his mind real quick. He's immediately like, all right. He joins the Hunter Association and immediately makes himself an incredible asset, using his ability to sniff out all of Beyond's spies that are entering the expedition as hunters through the Hunter exam. And they also find out that Sayu, one of the Zodiacs, the Monkey Zodiac, is an ally of Beyond as well. And Beyond does not know this. This is just like kind of a thing he's doing of his own accord. We also get the hint that a lot of Beyond spies have decided to apply directly to become bodyguards of the princes on the boat, since they've been sniffed out at the Hunter exam and were refused entry into the exam because of it. Kurapika himself also jumps on board as a bodyguard to the princes in order to get into close proximity with Serednik, the fourth prince that has his family's eyes. And he hires Hanzo, Basho, Izunavi, Melody, and Biscuit to also apply for bodyguard positions in order to help him in this plan. At the same time, Jing is joining Beyond's side, and his method of doing this is to infiltrate Pariston's Temp Hunter group that is entering the boat and immediately establishing himself as the second in command in Beyond's crew. And he does this by basically befriending all of the Temp Hunters there in a genuine way, whereas Pariston is kind of an asshole and people are less loyal to him, I suppose. It's not looking great for Pariston, but everybody's on board. Jing is second in command in Beyond's organization, and this is actually the last time we see them, even to this day, because it is just assumed they're on the boat somewhere from here on out. So that we are now on to the last part of our introductory part, which is the Phantom Troops' role in all of this. The Succession War, in my mind, can be divided into two major storylines that are eventually going to collide with each other. All of these storylines big storylines have little storylines within them, but these are the main two trunks of the tree, if anything. First is obviously Kurapika and the Succession War, but the second one is the Phantom Troop and their beef with Hisoka. So we know this, that Hisoka has fought Chrollo in Heaven's Arena. I'm not going to get into the fight itself, but it is important to note that during that fight, Chrollo managed to kill Hisoka using a multitude of abilities, including those of Shalnark and Cordopi. After Hisoka dies in the battle, he revives himself using a post-mortem version of bungee gum, and immediately upon revival, he restrains Machi and tells her that the rest of the troop, that he intends to fight and kill the rest of the troop on sight. And the first two people he goes after are Shalnark and Cordopi, two troop members who did not have their abilities at the time, and now whose abilities are permanently lost to Chrollo. So that's not good. So Hisoka seems to hightail it onto the boat himself, and the Phantom Troop follow after him, and that's where we are. I lied. This is not the last part of the introductory phase because we actually have to get into the Kakin royal family in general and who they are. I'm not going to go super hard on this, but the idea is that the royal family is made up of King Nasubi, his 8 wives, and 14 legitimate children. And that's important to remember legitimacy. The entire family is going on board not only to participate in the voyage, but to determine which one of them will inherit Nasubi's throne via the succession war. And in general terms, it's a 14-way battle royale between the princes, and the prince is a gender-neutral term in this case. There are women who are princes, there are men who are princes. It's just a general term. The sole survivor wins the throne, and there's a lot that is actually apparently up for interpretation. Apparently this means it doesn't necessarily have to be a death match, but everybody takes it that way, essentially. The rules are that each...
Is that so?
Yeah, pretty much. Well,
Wait.
as the succession contest goes on, more princes are trying... Well, Kurapika in particular are trying to find a way out of it without having to kill everyone. But for the most part, I mean, everybody is kind of assuming that they have to kill each other.
That by dropping out.
Well, nobody knows what entails dropping out. The interpretation is throwing everyone for a loop, but everybody is like on edge because obviously Benjamin, he interprets it as, for sure, I'm killing everyone. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, the upper princes, without a doubt.
Yeah, so, it's not great. Each prince is bestowed a Nen beast that they cannot see or directly command to serve as a guardian. Each Nen beast has a different ability, although we haven't seen what they all can do. We know what most of them can do by description, but a lot of them haven't really acted yet. The Nen beasts can't attack each other, and they can't attack princes directly. And so, really, and the princes can't even attack each other directly either. The whole thing is that each prince must use their wits, political influences, and resources to kill their siblings in such a way that it cannot be traced back to them. It's got to be like ironclad, super JFK style mystery assassination type shit. Some of the princes are more vastly privileged than the others, and those privileges are determined by hierarchy within the family. A prince's power relies not only on the order they were born to, but the queen that they're born to. The unofficial hierarchy of the Kakin royal family starts at the queens and their respective children. For example, first Prince Benjamin has the most power of all the princes. However, fourth Prince Saraidnik can just disobey his orders and refuse his military escorts because they're both the children of first Queen Unma. Second Prince Camilla cannot defy Benjamin's orders because her mom is the second queen. So the hierarchy kind of goes like this. It starts at King Nasubi at the top, first Queen Umma, first Prince Benjamin, fourth Prince Saraidnik, second Queen Dwazil, second Prince Camilla, fifth Prince Tubepa, seventh Prince Lucerus, ninth Prince Halkenberg, we'll get back to him, third Queen Tang Zhaolei, third Prince Zhang Lei, fourth Queen Katrono, sixth Prince Tyson, fifth Prince Swinko Swinko, eighth Prince Sale Sale, sixth Queen Saiko, 10th Prince Kacho, 11th Prince Fugetsu, 7th Queen Savanti, 12th Prince Momose, 13th Prince Mariam, and finally 8th Queen Oito with 14th Prince Wobble. So that's the order of the power dynamic so far. And so we're going to get into each prince very briefly and what their deals are. First Prince Benjamin is the oldest prince and carries the most authority. He is also the commander of Kakin's royal army, and being one of the only two princes to come into this with a Nen ability already intact. He has the ability Benjamin Baton, which allows him to inherit the abilities of people who die in his service. It's specified that this really only applies to his closest soldiers at this point, and all of them can use Nen. So he pretty much, if any of them die, he gets their powers. He has a guardian beast but we don't know what it can do yet. He's got an authoritarian streak, and he looks to rule Kakin with an iron fist after killing his siblings. Second Prince Camilla is an impulsive prince. She's very imposing and shows the ability to boss her mother Dwazil around, which is weird because, Dwazil technically outranks her, being the second queen. None of the princes can really go against their moms or the higher queens. Camilla doesn't have much sway over the royal army, but she does have a secret corps of civilians known as the Have-Nots, which come from an ancient tradition of Kakin royalty. They're basically poor people that Camilla has pulled from the mud and given them proper lives. In exchange, they voluntarily dedicate their lives in service of Camilla. These Have-Nots are all equipped with Nen curses that will activate upon their suicides, targeting a specific prince. Camilla is also the only other prince to come into the succession war with a Nen ability fully intact. It's actually one of my favorites in the whole series. Camilla's ability is Cat's Name. It activates once someone kills her, and once she dies, a Nen cat spirit beast appears, kills Camilla's attacker, and uses their life force to bring Camilla back to life. She also has a guardian Nen beast that she doesn't really give a shit about. It's a manipulator and can control anybody who fulfills certain conditions, but it hasn't done anything yet. Third Prince Zhang Lei, he's not the strongest prince. He doesn't have any Nen ability, and he has kind of a non-violent Nen beast, so to speak. But his main thing is that he is a benefactor of the Jiyu Mafia, one of the 3 mafia families that are financed by the princes. We'll get into them later. His Nen beast doesn't seem to offer much in terms of offense. It basically is this giant wheel that dispenses coins once a day. And once given to somebody, the coins increase in value until it is assumed that it bestows a Nen ability onto their holders. So it's not going to be pretty useful during this war. Fourth Prince Zeraidnik, this guy's a lot. Zeraidnik is pretty much the antagonist of the story so far. He hasn't done much yet, but he's a horrible human being who regularly distrusts and butchers women in his off time. Although they're born from the same mother, Benjamin and Zeraidnik fucking hate each other. They're each other's biggest op in this thing until Hulkenberg. Yeah. Zeraidnik has a group of loyal soldiers that he befriended in his youth that have the utmost respect for him. They become important later. And as they come into contact with the Heili, a mafia group that Zeraidnik is the benefactor of, much like his brother Zhang Lei. Zeraidnik has not played a big role in the succession war, mostly because he's been cooped up in his room being hyper-fixated on Nen, learning it from his bodyguard Theta. Zeraidnik's guardian Nen beast is this crazy horsewoman that presumably attacks anyone who lies to him, although seeming as how it's very harsh towards Theta, it's assumed that it's extremely prejudiced against women, but we'll figure that more out later. Zeraidnik has only learned about Nen 2 hours into the voyage, and since then he's been a genius at it, even gaining a super broken specialist Nen ability, which we'll get into later because that's a whole can of worms itself. But it is a huge problem because Kurapika will have to come to blows with this guy if he wants the fucking eyes back. And that's Zeraidnik. Tubepa is a scientist. Fifth Prince Tubepa, she hates her older siblings. She has no Nen ability of her own, but she's a reasonable-ish person who is open to creating alliances with princes. Tubepa is known to be a very cautious person, and her Nen beast takes after her. It has a transmuting Nen ability that is able to manifest various chemicals so long as it has a lab partner. We don't know what that means exactly, but it's assuming that Tubepa herself has to cooperate with this beast in some way in order for it to work. Her Nen beast has yet to show what it can do. In fact, it remains invisible for most of the journey so far. Sixth Prince Tyson is kind of a dark horse in this. She seems to be a kind and loving person, so much so that she's written a book called The Book of Tyson, which preaches about love and peace. She's mostly been hanging out in her room, obsessed with her bodyguards. One of her bodyguards is Izunavi, unintentionally indoctrinating them to be loyal to her through her book and her Nen Beast ability. Tyson, like most princes, has no proficiency in Nen coming into this, but her Nen Beast is really powerful. Really, it produces these eyewog things that crawl around and attach themselves to a person. They're harmless to who they touch, but they slowly manipulate anyone, regardless of their previous alliances, who has read the Book of Tyson into loyalty, depending on how much of the book they've read. Even Izunavi has shown signs of falling into the manipulation, although he's not super deep in because he hasn't read much of the book. So he's still mostly there. Seventh Prince Lucerys is a unique prince. He doesn't seem to be outwardly interested in participating in the succession war. He's mostly been hanging out in his room doing drugs and hanging out with Basho. He has no Nen ability coming into this either, but his Nen ability sounds pretty dangerous. It sets traps by conjuring the object of a target's desire. We've never seen it in action up to this point, but it do that. Lazarus.
I got some thoughts on his Nen Beast too, but I'm not sure if right now is the right time.
You can, if you'd like. I need a break.
Well, one of the princes that's alive right now, not Kacho, her sister,
Fugetsu.
Fugetsu. She was infected by like some type of curse or whatever, right? And she even had some type of bite mark on her back. But what she said about her ability is that like, I can use it as much like as I want now.
Yes.
So it just sounded like something like Losers and Nen Beast could like do, but they don't attack the other princes directly, right? So there's no way.
Correct. But it is still assumed that it is Lazarus some way, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Lucerys, like Saradnik and Zhang Lei, is the benefactor of one of the three Kakin mafia families that are causing trouble in the lower tiers. His family is the Cha'ar, so he runs them. Eighth Prince Saleh Saleh is by far the least ambitious prince in the succession arc. All the guy wants to do is eat, sleep, and smash. There's not a whole lot to him outside of that. His Nen Beast is this weird thing that looks like a freaked out wheezing. It hovers over him at all times. This Nen Beast continuously releases a gas that makes anybody around him more favorable to Saleh Saleh the longer they ingest the fumes. After they are exposed long enough, the Nen Beast will his Nen Beast with the same ability duplicates over another person, implying that the gas will follow them wherever they go and possibly infect others. Ninth Prince Halkenberg. This guy is also a lot. Halkenberg is the prince that Kurapika originally applied to guard. If Benjamin represents the virtues of brawn, Halkenberg represents the virtues of brain. He's a prodigy who graduated from the most prestigious university in the Hunter x Hunter world at the age of 15, and is also a god tier archer. This is important to remember. He is extremely critical of the Kakin Empire, even going so far as to threaten to change how it runs entirely should he become king. A lot of the lower ranked princes place their hopes on this guy because he seems to be a decent fella. And their one hope of escaping this death game. Despite considering himself a pacifist, Halkenberg has had to make some pretty aggressive moves in the succession war, instantly marking himself as a threat to the older princes due to his crazy Nen ability. His Nen Beast marks his most devout allies with a feather. Once marked, they are half awakened to Nen, meaning they possess aura, but they can't use it or see it really. Their main purpose is that Halkenberg's own aura is significantly boosted the more of these marked allies are physically around him. Halkenberg himself, like Saradnik, manifests a Nen ability on the ship. He is able to shoot an unblockable Nen arrow, allowing himself or one of his allies to take over the body of his target. It is more complicated than that, as we'll find out, but that is the basic point of it. The target's conscious is buried in the subconscious for as long as they're alive, although there is some possibility of the target being able to take control back. This trade-off on this ability is that Halkenberg has to stake his life every time he shoots an arrow. Good thing he's like a god tier archer. 10th and 11th princes, Kacho and Fugetsu. I'm lumping these two together because you can't talk about one without the other. Kacho and Fugetsu are twins, and among the younger princes, Kacho is abrasive and kind of a brat, while Fugetsu is more withdrawn. But Kacho more puts on this attitude to protect her more vulnerable sister. The two of them, understandably, want no part in this shit and are trying to escape the succession war this whole time. Kacho develops a friendship with Melody, who is trying to help them in their venture. They have no abilities on their own, and their Nen Beasts are very unique in that they are cooperative. 11th Prince Fugetsu's Nen Beast is Secret Door. It manifests as an outgoing door that Fugetsu controls that can go anywhere, and Kacho controls the return door that brings them back to where they started. 10th Prince Kacho's Nen Beast is Without You. It activates upon the death of one of the twins. After one of them dies, Without You takes on the appearance, personality, and memories of the dead twin to protect the surviving one until they die. More on that later. 12th Prince Momose. We don't know much about Momose because her time on the boat is short. Momose is the older Momose is the older sister of 13th Prince Mariam and a literal child. She seems to have a calm disposition, although her Nen Beast is fairly aggressive. Her Nen Beast is actually the first to make an active attack. It's this little mouse thing that constantly asks its target if they're free. If the answer is yes, the Nen Beast controls them.
Got a moment?
Yeah. If they answer yes, the Nen Beast controls them and forces them to carry out tasks. The only one we've seen so far has been literally killing everyone in the room. 13th Prince Mariam is an even younger literal child and doesn't seem to grasp what's going on here. On his own, he is probably the second most vulnerable prince on the ship. However, his Nen Beast compensates for that pretty good. His Nen Beast creates a pocket dimension perfectly replicating Mariam's room where he and his bodyguards reside. However, once you leave, you won't be able to return, as far as we know, with the exception of Hanzo, but we'll get into that later. The Nen Beast is the only one remaining in the actual room and attacks anyone who enters. And finally, we hit 14th Prince Wobble. Wobble is Bebe. Wobble, being the lowest ranked prince with the lowest ranked queen, has far and away the least resources of any prince, outside of the guards being assigned to her by other princes. Wobble's mother managed to scrounge together a small corps of hunters, including Kurapika, to guard Wobble by impersonating Halkenberg. We don't know what Wobble's beast can do. We haven't seen it. All we know is that it has a malicious enough presence to make Kurapika flinch. Wobble, being Bebe, cannot make any decisions for herself, so Oito basically has been fighting as her proxy, even gaining the ability to use Nen by Kurapika, and has been secretly trading it. And that is the end of our introductory part of the story. As we get into the main one. Any questions yet?
No.
Good. We're only a half hour in. That's actually less than I thought. But what do you got?
Yeah.
Oh, you.
Nothing off the top of my head.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was a good recap.
Okay.
I mean, the fourth prince is an issue.
Yes. Yeah, he is. But
I mean, he's being built up to be someone that's going to be problematic past this, this secession arc.
yeah. We'll have to see what happens with him. But we can move on into the actual recap itself, the actual events of the story. We're going to start with the Succession War and Kurapika. We're going to go through all of their events, and we're going to cover everything that's going on with the Phantom Troop separately, because they don't really collide with each other so much until like kind of recently. But we can get into it now. The arc starts properly with the disembarking of the Black Whale 1, the ship that the whole arc takes place in. It's a big old ship with 5 huge tiers that can fit 20,000 people on board. Tier 1 holds the Kakin royalty, V5 politicians and beyond himself. Tier 2 holds celebrities and other rich people. Tier 3 is general admission, basically, in order of rich to poorest. But that goes for tier 4 and 5. Tier 5 being the poorest of the poor, being at the bottom of the ship. Tier 3 is also where the Zodiacs are hanging out, including Leorio. So, just as a little memory there. There's a big old banquet that takes place as the Black Whale sets sail, where the princes are escorted one by one to their quarters. At the same time, Mizai Storm explains that there's already a high crime rate occurring in the lower tiers, and it's pretty much going to be taking all of his time. And take up all of his time, it does, as we'll later see.
Yeah.
It's also revealed that no less than 3 Zodiacs will be watching over Beyond at a time. Pretty much effectively, immediately after the Black Whale sets sail, one of the guards assisting Kurapika in guarding Huobo is found dead in the bathroom. He is drained of all his blood with punctures all over his body, and Kurapika immediately clocks that this is someone's Nen ability. But is taken aback and confused when the other guards pretend not to know what Nen is, which is confusing because Kurapika definitely knows that there's hunters in the room. Upon questioning them, Kurapika realizes that the other hunters that are in Wobo's room don't know anything about the Succession War. They were hired directly through Pariston, who either doesn't know himself or did not tell them the situation right now. So it's not great. Shortly after, Kurapika finds more guards dead, all killed in a similar fashion to the first, and Kurapika immediately uses his ability to interrogate the remaining guards to find out if it was any of them. It's here we learn that the guards were not directly hired by Oito, and some of them were assigned to him by other queens. And that Wobo and the other princes are assigned a number of guards correlated to their queen ranking. As an example, Oito is the 8th queen, so she gets 7 guards assigned to Wobo and no true guards of her own. Mariam would have 6 guards assigned to him and 1 fully loyal guard to him and his queen, and so on and so forth. After a certain point, an Iwag appears on one of the guards, and then they are suddenly under attack by a slew of Nen beasts. Kurapika immediately contacts his comrades on the general channel and reports the Nen beasts, spreading the knowledge of Nen to everyone on board. Everybody confirms that the Nen beasts are around. And fellow guard, who is one of fellow guard Bill, who's important, and one of Beyond's spies, discuss what to do next. In the meantime, Momose's Nen's beasts keeps asking one of the guards, Sayrid, if he's free. Kurapika and Bill's talk is cut short when Sayrid kills the other 2 under the control of Momose's beast. Kurapika immediately subdues Sayrid and steals his ability using his Emperor time. With that, all of Wobo's guards are essentially gone. Within 2 hours of the Black Whale setting sail, Wobo's guards go from 11 to 2. So not a good start. It's at this point we see that Momose has taken most of her guards to prioritize Mariam's safety, leaving her with 6 guards, one of them being Hanzo. At this time, Halkenberg approaches his father, demanding to withdraw from the Succession War. We also learn that the revelation of Nen has made word across the princes, giving Saradnik's guard, Theta, and the other guy, I couldn't catch his name, really nervous to talk about Saradnik because they don't want him learning Nen because he's a psycho. But unfortunately, they can't hide it from him. So it's not great. We get a short scene with Camilla asking for her father to not allow dropouts to the Succession War that don't include biological death. And Nasubi's like, I'm not changing shit. You know, the sole survivor is the official heir to the throne. And the way they interpret that is part of the contest. So, geez. And where was I? So The knowledge of Nen drastically changes the whole environment of the Succession War. It kind of forces a stalemate because Benjamin's entire team can use Nen, but now that everyone knows about Nen, everybody will be a lot more on guard, and they will not have the element of surprise anymore.
Benjamin thought he was like, valid.
Bro,
He really thought it was gonna be easy money.
to be fair, I don't blame him. He has the most advantages of any prince. He had like all the resources. This was going to be smooth for him. But Kurapika went and fucked that up. So as a response, Benjamin sends his guards, his most trusted and loyal guards, all of who possess Nen, to guard a specific prince. Everybody goes to do that except for Saridnik. Saridnik, being the son of Queen Unma, can reject Benjamin's soldiers from entering his quarters. So that doesn't work. That doesn't work out for him. Kurapika is immediately confronted with one of the guards, Vincent, who comes in and kills one of Wobel's servants, claiming that she came at him with a knife. Seeing that this guy is super obviously here to kill Wobel, Kurapika immediately works with Bill to subdue him and question him, but he kills himself before they can get any answers out of him. In the process, he uses Emperor.
Yup guy, right?
Yeah, that's the yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes sir. After in that process, Kurapika uses Emperor Time to load Sayurd's ability into Oito as a distraction. And after being caught dead to rights, Vincent kills himself before he can be arrested and formally put on trial, implicating Benjamin for an assassination attempt on Wobel. Benjamin, learning of Vincent's death, sends in the new guard, Bobby Mina, to take over his place. With that, a huge problem arises right off the bat. Kurapika currently has Emperor Time activated and has installed an ability into Oito. Emperor Time cannot be deactivated until that ability is used, which is super bad news because it's here we learn that Kurapika's life is shortened by 1 hour for every second Emperor Time is activated. So they're looking for a small animal to control using Sayurd's ability, so that they can just get rid of this ability and Kurapika can end Emperor Time. But at the same time, he gets a call from 3 princes. He gets a call from Benjamin, Zhang Lei, and Tubepa. At the same time, Bobby Mina knocks on their door. So he now has to do the political math on who to answer first. He decides to answer Benjamin first, but one of Wobel's servants, Shimanu, I think her name is, actually puts him on the line with Zhang Lei instead. Zhang Lei invites Kurapika to his room to discuss Nen, and Kurapika accepts on the condition that he can bring Wobel and Oito. Zhang Lei agrees. And Benjamin disconnects his call, so, he doesn't get to talk to him. So he takes Tubepa's call, which actually ends up being Maor, one of Tubepa's guards. They agree to a truce in exchange for information on Nen beasts. Kurapika agrees and tells Maor that Kurapika agrees, and Maor tells him that he'll be right over. The timing doesn't super work because he's supposed to go see Zhang Lei, so he negotiates with Maor for an hour, like to get an hour so he can take care of business there. He also mentions that Bobby Mina is at the door, and he's kind of getting in on all sides here. So Kurapika meets Bobby Mina and lets him in, advising him that he's going to go see Zhang Lei. In Zhang Lei's room, Kurapika explains to him about Nen. In the meantime, we get quick updates from all the other princes. Hulkenberg and his guards have been passed out for some time, all waking up with the feather marking on their hands from Hulkenberg's Nen beast, and Saridnik starts showing signs of being a Nen prodigy. After Kurapika's brief Nen lesson with Zhang Lei, he volunteers 2 of his personal guards to look after Wobel, Sakata and Hashito. These guys are still around. They're kind of important, I suppose. Slaka, the guard assigned to Zhang Lei by Second Queen Dwazil, is ordered to tag along as well. Not to mention, Benjamin sends a third soldier, Furikov, to back Bobby Mina up. So with that, Kurapika's situation is pretty fucking bad. He has a ton of people watching him now, and he can't just dispel Emperor Time because he's still trying to keep that a secret, and thus he can't have Oito use Cyrid's ability. So for the unforeseeable future, he'll be losing an hour of his life for every second that passes. There's a whole rigmarole of Kurapika trying to discharge the ability using his Nen class as a cover, but he manages to do it. At the same time, Oito pretends to pass out so she can use the ability, and everybody's none the wiser. Having Bill pretend that it's his ability when Oito's really the one controlling this roach they found. And so they continue to use Cyrid's ability to get some information on the other princes. But unfortunately, Oito manages to come across Momose room right in the middle of her being murdered. She screams out and she tries to get everybody out, but it's too late. Momose has passed. She is the first prince to die. And at that point, both Kurapika and Oito pass out while Emperor Time is active. So, not great. In the meantime, Hanzo is deeply upset of having failed Momose and vows to find the murderer at all costs. Saridnik is improving at Nen at an unfortunately rapid pace. He hears that Kurapika promised to be able to teach Nen in a much shorter time than Theta, and he drums up an excuse as he Theta tries to explain that away, and at that point she is detected as lying by his Nen beast and is attacked for the first time. 9 hours later, Kurapika wakes up, coming to the realization that Emperor Time has been active the entire time and has cost him 5 years of his life. Still, they elect to use Cyrid's ability for a little while longer, so he can gain some info on Saridnik, but the roach is killed by his Nen beast. So not great. So the Nen class begins, but it's here we start to see the Nen ability that's been killing Woble's guards, known as Silent Majority. However, we don't know who's using it. That's one of the many murder mysteries that are happening on this fucking boat. So we learned that Silent Majority seems to require that nobody be looking at the target before deploying conjured snakes to kill. So now it's a race against time to find the wielder of Silent Majority before everybody is picked off. Still, Kurapika continues the classes, and it's at this point a lot of stuff starts to happen in rapid succession to each other. Momose's body is taken to some secret chamber with 14 coffins inside, all surrounding some weird machine at the center. This is revealing that this whole thing is part of a bigger ritual that the princes are not aware of. Hanzo has met up with Biscuit to guard Mariam, and at night he uses one of his abilities to create a double and find the guy who killed Momose. He finds him and gets his get back with relative ease. Hanzo's double returns to his quarters to find that there's nobody there anymore, and he finds Mariam's Nen beast in full attack mode. Princess Camilla makes a move to attack Benjamin directly and ends up killing one of Benjamin's guards with Cat's name. This move backfires big time, with Camilla being arrested for killing one of Benjamin's guards and put under extra surveillance by Benjamin using his recently deceased soldier's ability with his Benjamin baton. Hanzo runs over to Kurapika with help, and he negotiates with Mariam's guards to figure out what happened to his room. Meanwhile, Fugetsu discovers her Nen Beast's secret door. We also learn of the ability of one of Benjamin's soldiers, Rihan. He has the ability to grow a Nen Beast of his own within himself that can nullify a target's ability. The more accurate he can guess guess and understand the ability from a place of complete ignorance. Zhang Lei's beast also starts to drop coins at this time. Multiple of Hulkenberg's men have been endowed with the feather, and the effect has terrified one of Benjamin's guards named Shikaku. He decides to go see his father about calling off the succession war in the wake of Momose's death. The time limit on Hanzo's ability is reached, and he is returned to Mariam's room, where he and Biscuit agreed to teach Mariam's guards Nen. This is also when they confirm that Mariam's beast causes a distortion with his room, and revealing that one cannot re-enter once leaving. After a speedy trial, Camilla beats her case and is freed from Benjamin's custody. It's at this point one of the Nen school students is murdered by Silent Majority. After long, Rihan is confident enough in his understanding of Saleh Saleh's Nen Beast ability that he activates his Predator ability and kills it, thus sealing Saleh Saleh's fate with it. Hulkenberg tries to talk it out with Nasubi, but Nasubi says no. There's some fucking occult Nen fuckery going on. I can't stop it now. So Hulkenberg then decides that if you can't beat him, join him, and he becomes a very active participant from here on out. He immediately jumps Benjamin's soldier Shikaku with his ability and swaps out his consciousness with one of Hulkenberg's own men. At this same time, Kacho and Fugatsu, and with Melody and one of the guards, help put their escape plan into action. Melody using her Nen ability to create a distraction. And this is one of the important markers to help pin when certain events happen. Kacho and Fugetsu actually managed to get off the Black Whale, but learned the hard way that there's no escape from the Succession War. Upon leaving the Black Whale, they are immediately attacked by an unknown entity. Fugetsu manages to escape back onto the Black Whale, but unfortunately Kacho dies. It's here where we learn Kacho's Nen Beast's ability Without You. Without You emerges in Kacho's form now, and sticking to her, guarding her for as long as Fugetsu lives. Saraidnik is revealed to be a specialist and manifests his own Nen ability in the form of his own Nen Beast that is intrinsic to him. So it's at this point I will attempt to explain Saraidnik's ability. Watch this. Here we go.
Good luck.
Here we go. Okay. This is the simplest I can make it possibly, because this is the first time that Togashi has had to write out a chart as to how someone's ability works. So here's the deal. Saraidnik, when Saraidnik enters Zetsu and closes his eyes, he gets a vision of the immediate 10 seconds into the future. Outside of Saraidnik's vision, those 10 seconds are happening as they would. But for Saraidnik, time has basically stopped for those 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, Saraidnik can release Zetsu and find himself right at the point he first closed his eyes. At that point, everyone else, they're experiencing those 10 seconds. For Saraidnik, in those 10 seconds, he has the ability to move however he'd like to change that immediate future. So the events that Saraidnik sees while discovering goes as follow. Theta, while Saraidnik is in Zetsu and his Nen Beast is no longer able to defend him, attempts to shoot and kill Saraidnik. Saraidnik enters Zetsu. Within 10 seconds, Theta shoots Saraidnik in the head and experiences that whole thing. In the meantime, this same 10 seconds, Saraidnik is experiencing those same 10 seconds, presumably through the eyes of the Nen Beast that's behind him. He's getting this kind of bird's eye view from presumably the Nen Beast behind him. So he experiences that 10 seconds, comes out of Zetsu, and witnesses Theta experiencing that 10 seconds he just saw. Now, in Theta's mind, even with Saraidnik's eyes open and he's out of Zetsu now, she is seeing Saraidnik still with his eyes closed, and she is still experiencing that 10 seconds. Saraidnik moves out of the way, dodges the bullet, and that is when a new timeline is essentially created, in which Saraidnik has dodged the bullet. Even though Theta saw her, even though she saw the fucking blood splatter from his head, that is overwritten by Saraidnik's ability. I'm sorry. That's the best way I can say it. That is kind of the best way I can do it. So, yeah. Sorry. Anyway, After this whole ordeal, Cyrodinic's succession war, Nen Beast retaliates and threatens Theta with one more chance before she will no longer be human. So that's not good for Theta. At the same time, this whole thing happens while Kacho and Fugetsu are escaping, by the way. We get that signal because right as Cyrodinik dodges the bullet, they are put under Melody's spell for a second. So that is the indicator that those two events are happening at the same time. It's hard to explain that because a lot of the events that happen are broken up in time. So there'll be chapters where we're like in the present day, but then like other chapters where we flash back to like a day or two before. But that's neither here nor there. I'm doing this in order of the manga showing us. So this is what it is. Speaking of all that, after her performance, Melody is taken by the Kakin Justice Bureau to question her about Kacho and Fugetsu's escape attempt, as well as to also keep her safe from the other princes, seeing as how they all figured out that they were put under her Nen illusion. Hulkenberg decides to test the boundaries of his ability by asking his guards, who possesses Shikaku, to kill himself in front of Prince Lucerus's door. At this point, we don't know whether Hulkenberg's man returns to his body, but we will learn later. Kurapika starts to give people access to their Nen via his ability, further empowering lower ranked princes and enforces the prolonging stalemate. This is extremely risky because although this does keep them safe for a while because it makes everybody more hesitant to attack each other, if the shit really hits the fan, there's that many more Nen users that can attack them. So, it is a high-risk, high-reward strategy. Meanwhile, Benjamin and his right-hand man, Balsamico, are trying to strategize on how to handle Hulkenberg, given his ability is way too dangerous right now. Their first move is to throw suspicion on Hulkenberg for the murders that are happening on the lower tiers, if only to separate him from his men for a while. As time goes on, Tyson's guards seem to grow more infatuated with her due to her Nen Beast's ability, and the have-nots are being introduced, more specifically Sarahel, the have-not that curses Wobble. We'll see her again in the more current chapters. The coins that Zhanglei's Nen Beast dropped are starting to increase in value, and he doesn't really know what that means. He takes a trip to see Unyor, the boss of the GU, and his illegitimate brother to Nasubi, to ask him about Nen. Unyor does not know anything about Nen. He does not possess a Nen ability, but he does know that some of his people do, so he'll ask around. And Zhangli seems to let it slip that Unyor might be his real dad.
Yeah, he said father straight up.
Yeah, he did, but all right, thanks. We needed more complication. Melody learns about what happened to Kacho and Fugetsu and is called by the other princes to play for them in exchange for a pardon for being involved in their escape attempt. Now knowing they can escape, Melody and Without You, who is posing as Kacho, plan to fight to survive. The idea is to accept their invitation and poison them, and while they're blacked out from Melody's song. That is kind of the first plan there. Kaiser, the Justice Bureau guy who has been helping or has been like talking to Melody this entire time, also confesses his love for Melody in a very straightforward way, to the point where Melody is even doubting her own Nen ability at this point because she can't tell if he's lying or not. But that's neither here nor there because she has no choice but to work with him because he is a good ally to have. However, it seems that Fugetsu has not gone unscathed, and Secret Door seems to be draining her energy so much so that evil spirits are now circling her everywhere she goes. She is now able to use Secret Door more times in a day, and that's no good because what's happening to her is a similar thing that happened to Momose, where she is getting worn out and her body cannot handle this much output of aura. So they're trying to figure out a way around this and a way to beat this. Melody intends to use her conversations with the higher ranked princes that have summoned her to find out if any of them are behind this sudden boost in her ability to use Secret Door. Melody meets with Zhang Lei, a representative of Saridnik, and a couple of the other princes, but none of them seem to pass the vibe check that they had anything to do with it. Meanwhile, at Kurapika's Nen school, we get to know one of Tubeppa's guards, Long Hee. She seems to be really good at Nen from the start, and that's because she is one of Beyond's many children who have infiltrated the Kakin Empire with a litter of his own kids among the Kakin soldiers. They are implanted with Nen curses of their own, although they don't know what the curses do and who their targets are. To make this worse, Long Hee is fairly confident that one of the princes is a child of Netero. She makes her plan known that she fully intends to kill whichever prince that is as a fuck you to her dad. Meanwhile, Tubeppa and Zhang Lei fully agreed to a truce with Wobble, the terms being that Wobble and Tubeppa will renounce the throne to Zhang Lei should they be the last three standing. Strangely enough, Tubeppa's Nen Beast appears right as she's signing the treaty, which is strange because it has remained pretty much hidden until now. So Rihan is there just like, what the fuck is this about? Strangely, that's it. Saridnik is now able to enter Zetsu at 10 seconds, and he is shooting for a 1 second activation time. After noticing a mark on Fugetsu's back, Melody and Without You figure out that someone must have injected Fugetsu with something that caused her to use Secret Door more than once a day, and thus draining her aura and leaving her vulnerable to evil spirits. Without You suspects that Lucerus, or rather his Nen Beast, is the one behind it, but there's some iffy things with that, as Nen Beast cannot directly attack princes, but he's the best chance they got because his whole thing is drugs. Drugs. They come up with a plan to kill Lucerus, which is incredibly complicated. So the idea is that they're trying to use Secret Door to get Lucerus on the lifeboat and force an escape kill on him. But to do that, they need to be able to get into Lucerus's room so that they have access to his room in the first place using Secret Door. Fugetsu cannot open the door to anywhere she hasn't been, apparently. So to do that, Kaiser arranges for Fugetsu to visit each prince individually as a cover to accomplish this. By going around delivering a letter to the other princes, explaining that, revealing a bombshell that the Justice Department has been holding on to. They have dirt on a lot of, if not all, the princes, so they're using that to kind of justify Fugetsu going room to room. We'll find out what that is later. Balsamico, Benjamin's right-hand man, ventures off to assassinate Halkenberg himself, but he is caught off guard, and Halkenberg gets the opportunity to shoot his arrow at Balsamico. Sometime later, Balsamico tells Benjamin that Halkenberg never showed up to his trial citing illness. Benjamin is super sus about this because all of a sudden he's sick. I don't know about that. But he should be super sus because it was successful. Halkenberg himself was able to take on Balsamico's body, which is super duper risky. In layman's terms, I guess, the whole experiment with Shikaku, where they had one of Benjamin's soldiers kill themselves, it was to experiment what would happen if someone dies in the body of a person they're possessing. And what happens is that they do return to their body, but the person that they're possessing is also with them. So there's two consciousness in the body, and only one can pilot the body at a time. The only one, it's hard to explain. I this is the one thing I didn't write down, but my understanding is that, like, if a body dies, how did they say this? So Shikaku woke up in the body. I think his Halkenberg's man did not arise. He woke up and he cited his name and number. making him the dominant force within that body. Hulkenberg is different in that he cannot easily discharge himself into other people. If he leaves his body starts to die. So that's not cool. He is the dominant force within Balsamico's body, and that is why Hulkenberg is currently dying at this point. But we'll get to that later.
No, didn't Hulkenberg poison himself?
He did not. This is a result of him leaving his body. It doesn't work the same for himself as others. I Googled it as well because I needed to make double sure. But he did not poison himself. Josh, you're muted. I don't know if you're.
All right. So I just learned that now.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I thought he
And he
poisoned
let his
himself with
body
the SK13 or whatever it's called.
Nope. No. Hulkenberg, his own ability, his people can body swap, but Hulkenberg himself it does not body swap. He enters the body of Balsamico, and Balsamico's consciousness is subverted in favor of Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg remains a dominant personality as long as his body is alive. When his body dies, that's when Balsamico will take over, and that is when it's revealed that Hulkenberg intends on letting his body die, and in that moment, take a sleeping pill to suppress Balsamico for 10 more hours so that he can pull off his move. Pretty fucking nuts.
That is insanity.
That is nuts. Why would that be the move? No, it was random.
Well, because the
Right?
move...
He didn't know it was going to definitely be him that got transferred.
No, he knew. He can decide who goes where.
No, it's random, isn't it? Mm-mm.
Well, at least
when I-
he planned for that to be for that event, for that being the case.
Yes.
Because
He intentionally
so
shot himself
one way or
into
another.
it. He knew that it would be him. So he did that.
I don't know. I think he just planned for that.
The end game
regardless.
is for him to eventually take over Benjamin's body.
LOL.
So I was going to get to that later, but that is
Yeah.
ultimately the plan. It is weird. I think there's definitely like gaps that need to be filled because we're going back and forward in time in the current chapters, to be honest. But we actually don't also know how Benjamin got poisoned, but we'll get to that. Benjamin just like shows up one day and is like, I'm dying. So
You look pale, brother.
yeah, so here we go.
Direct.
Hulkenberg is taken over. It's at this point we learn that the letter that Fugetsu has been passing around reveals that Hulkenberg is actually the son of Queen Unma and has been hidden because he knows that Sir Rydnik and Benjamin fucking hate each other, and if they found out they had another brother of equal standing of them, then they would probably kill that brother as a bibi. So it's that's why. We don't know for sure if it's true, but that is the bombshell that has been revealed to all of the princes. Kurapika tells Oito that there might actually be hope to stop the succession war and prevent the lower tier princes from dying. He is then called to Zhang Lei's office to further explain what he suspects his Nen Beast's ability is. Basically, it's theorized that his Nen ability creates coins that grant Nen to those who hold on to it for a while. However, Kurapika holds back that the exchange is that whoever holds the coin is in a semi-coercive alliance with Zhang Lei. So we don't know this for sure. This is just kind of the implication, is that they're not just giving away Nen abilities for free, and that if you cash in on this coin, then you need to work for this guy. Hulkenberg's real body is... Oh, sorry.
Semi-coercive is a term used a lot in Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah. Semi-coercive is the word of the day. Hulkenberg's real body is dying, and so Hulkenberg's big plan to win the succession war is to use Balsamico's body to eventually get close enough to Benjamin's body to fire off a new arrow and take over Benjamin's body. With his body dead, Hulkenberg is on a 10-hour time limit to do so. not knowing that Benjamin is also on a 10-minute time limit. So, as he has also been poisoned and is dying. So, tragic ending for both of them, to be honest. And that is kind of where we are left with the whole succession war, up to as far as Kurapika's point of view. From there on, it's the newer chapters, so that we've been covering for the last 2 weeks. So check out those episodes if you want more Hunter x Hunter on that end. Now we're going to move on to the last part of this recap, which is the Phantom Troops side of things. The Phantom Troop, including Illumi and Kaluta Zoldyck are on board on the Black Whale to hunt for Hisoka in a first-come, first-served basis. Chrollo works with Bonolanov and Shizuku in exchange for the right to kill Hisoka first and foremost if they find him, if either of them find him.
Wait, Chris.
Sorry.
You're not going to talk about Borkson?
I'm going to get to Borkson. She's in this
okay.
side. She's in this side of things. I haven't forgotten about that. I haven't forgotten about that girl is Borkson.
Borkson.
Young Borks.
Yeah, Borks. Okay, so yeah, they're on the ship. Everybody's looking for Hisoka. We learn a little bit about a secondary ability that Bonolanov possesses, which allows him to transform into anybody. We also learn, as a side note, Chrollo no longer has no longer access to Neon's ability, which means she somehow has died off screen. Josh, did you raise your hand?
No, I was doing the pose that Bonolanov was in when he transformed. He was like, yeah, disco pose. I was like, okay, Bonolanov.
All right, feeling yourself here.
And on the next page, he said, yeah, I'm not compatible with Hisoka.
Yeah.
I would lose.
Yeah. So the families, we then get an introduction to the families that of the mafia, of the Kakin mafia. These families are the Jiyu, supported by Zhang Lei, the Haley, supported by Saridnik, and the Cha'ar, supported by Luzris. These gangs have an intense rivalry, so much so that once you join, the other two are considered to be mortal enemies off rip. The Jiyu boss is one of Nasubi's illegitimate brothers, Anyor Langbao. He looks like an onion. The Cha'ar boss is one of Nasubi's other illegitimate brothers named Broccoli. He looks like broccoli. And we also meet Morena Prudo, who is the boss of the Haley and the illegitimate daughter of Nasubi. The only illegitimate child of Nasubi that we know of. She doesn't look like any vegetable, but she seems to be the only one of the bosses that has a Nen ability. Her ability is Contagion, an ability that allows her to bestow Nen up to 23 people that she transfers through her saliva, mostly through kisses. These people can level up their Nen ability by killing people. At level 20, at level 21, actually, I think their own unique ability emerges, and at level 100, they're able to become a patient zero and bestow Nen in the same way as Morena. We also learn that each of the illegitimate children of the Kakin royal family are scarred with a razor at birth across their faces, signaling that they don't have any claim to the throne. Needless to say, this has severely fucked up Morena's mental state, as her only goal is to literally destroy the world. It's here we learn that the shared philosophy between them is that of balance. After learning that the Phantom Troop are on board, they sense that their balance has been tipped, and both of them send their right-hand men to find Hisoka before they do. The Cha'ar send Kenny Wang, and the Jiyu send Hinrig, Big and Duffno. Hinrig, Big and Duffno. That is his name.
Henrik Big and Duff, though.
Big and Duffno.
He's big and duff, though. He's big and buff, though.
Big and buff, though.
He's big and buff, though.
Finks, Phaeton, Nobunaga, and Franklin are looking for a way to the upper tiers. They come in contact with some no-name thugs who educate them on the three mafia families. Franklin stays put on the lower tiers, but Finks, Phaeton, and Nobunaga head out to the warehouse to reclaim their weapons together. out of respect for Hisoka's power. As they're being guided by the dude who works at the warehouse, they watch him fall into a strange nen trap that ends up with him dead. The guy who murdered him is a Haley goon who has leveled up to reach a nen ability. His name is what was it? Lumini, Brian, right? Luini. I know it was like Luigi adjacent. Luini. Basically, this guy enters a closed-off room and is able to create a pocket dimension to travel anywhere else that he wants. He can return to the original room, but if the door is open to the room at any point, he loses the ability to return to the room, and he can no longer use his ability in that room again. Nobunaga and his group meet Kenny Wang and team up with him and the Char R to solve this murder mystery in exchange for access to their door to the upper tiers. Meanwhile, Mizai Storm starts to catch on that the crime wave in the city and the lower tiers is correlated to the occult madness that is going on with this fucking boat involving the Succession War, suggesting this whole journey is a pretense for a mass sacrifice ritual of everyone on board. And as such, security is tightened on the lower floors as Mizai Storm runs into Kaluto and Illumi. This knowledge that the Phantom Troop are on the Black Whale starts to freak out Mizai Storm because he knows that Kurapika has beef with him. Things just continue to get worse for Kurapika at this point. This whole thing is interrupted when Mizai Storm is called over to attend to Fugetsu, who has been found in the lower tiers. And this is how the government, or the powers that be, find out about the escape attempt. Meanwhile, Nobunaga's group explains the dynamic between the groups and how the actions of the Haley murderer are hurtling the three mafia families to war. However, the troop manages to kill the murderer instead. If the troop manages to kill the murderer instead, the Haley will turn the war onto them. The troop obviously doesn't give a shit. Because they are also high caliber smoke wanters in their own right. In fact, they decide the best course of action is to attack Morena directly, which freaks out the Char bosses because these people are reckless and they threaten their very way of life. After meeting with Zhang Lei, Onyor gets on the phone with Hinrig and commands him to continue his search for Hisoka while also finding a way to kill Morena. Morena grabs two henchmen named Zakuro and Lynch, and they head off to war. They make it up to the third tier when they are immediately run up on a Haley goon. A fight ensues, and we learn Hinrig, Lynch's, and Zakuro's nen abilities all at once. Zakuro can control his blood. Lynch can learn the truthful answer to any questions she asks her target after punching them with her nen.
Cool ass ability.
I really like that ability too.
By the way.
Hinrig has the ability to transform inanimate objects into animals that retain their original functionality. So fucking cool. So
transmuted.
One thing that he does is that he can turn he turns these guards' guns into snakes, and then he makes the snakes shoot them with bullets because they are still guns. Fucking sick. Hinrig splits up with Zakuro and Lynch to hunt for Morena while they look for Hisoka. Hinrig is jumped by a group of Haley goons, all of whom have leveled up to a point of having their own nen abilities, but he kills them pretty easily regardless. One person who took a death blow, however, is seemingly alive, but we find out that that's only because there's a secret member of the GU that has postmortem nen that allows her to possess the body of anybody the GU kills, and basically lets them wander off to be disposed of, and then she disappears again. After the battle, Hinrig is confronted by one of the royal guards who offers him information on Morena's location in exchange for some money. Hinrig agrees and sets out to get the money. Meanwhile, the Haley goon we thought was... I got ahead of myself there. Meanwhile, Zakuro and Lynch come across none other than Hisoka pretty quickly. Hisoka knocks out Lynch, and Zakuro attempts to get Hisoka to come with him to the GU hideout. And we cut away from there. Back with the Cha'ar and Nobunaga's group, Kenny Wang decides to have his guys prioritize finding Hisoka in hopes of using him to control the troop and defeat the Heili. Back at the Cha'ar, Nobunaga's group waits for the Heili murderer to pop back up, which he does. And it doesn't work out well for him because Nobunaga immediately kills this guy. Zakuro and Lynch survived their encounter with Hisoka, but they were beat up in the process. They reconnect with Hinrig and lead him to where Hisoka is. Hinrig makes a deal with Hisoka to chill in tier 1 while they handle this business with the Heili, so that they can keep the troop focused on the Heili for the time being. Kenny Wang comes across the corporal that Hinrig was negotiating with and invites himself onto the expedition to Morena's location. It's here we learn of a rumor surrounding Kenny Wang that anybody he smiles at dies soon after. It is not confirmed whether this is an ability, but it sure sounds like one.
He was like, please don't. I'm sorry.
And honestly, he was right to beg because it does not work out well for him later. He guides them to...
Damn.
Pretty much immediately after this happens, the corporal guides them to the first class rooms on the third tier, where he immediately walks into a trap set by the Heili. The trap is
stand right to processing.
Yeah, right to processing. So this is not cool. This room is part of an ability that once you enter, you are teleported to the Heili hideout, and where they immediately kill you and level and use you to level up. It's basically a farm to level their soldiers up. They're grinding out, leveling up over there. Hinrig, there's a man inside the room, and Hinrig attacks him. And after he attacks him, the man disappears. After one of his goons go back to retrieve the blade, he disappears, and that's how we learn about the room and the abilities surrounding it. So it's at this point we start to get familiar with a group of royal soldiers who patrol the lower tiers. They are tasked with finding the Heili headquarters and are even aware of Nen. These guys have a lot of respect for Sir Rydnik and know him from their time in the military academy. They figure he's been absent from this crisis because he's been holed up in his room, hyperfixating on Nen. And as a result, if the conflict between the mafia families and between the mafia families gets bad, the government and the Hunter Association, they figure, will intervene and a riot will break out among the conflict. So the most important of these soldiers is a girl named Borkson, who suggests staying far away from Morena so that they can avoid the danger. Does not work out well for her. Nobunaga's group heads towards the trap room that Hinrig and Kenny Wang found. Before they can head into the room, they head into the room next door to the trap room and cut the bathroom wall there, where they find the Heili, a hideout for the Heili. And as they're trying to figure out the motives as to why Heili just let their mans die like that, we get the extended flashback into the origin of the Phantom Troop. I'm not going to get super into it, but the long and short of it is that the troop were once innocent little kids in Meteor City, making fan dubs of their favorite cartoon, until one day an outsider rolled along and killed one of their friends, a little girl named Sarasa, in a very brutal way. And ever since then, the Phantom Troop formed to find the guys that did it and to live the rest of their lives as villains so notorious that nobody will ever mess with Meteor City again. And back to the present. That's the long and short of it, sorry. Read the series. It's very good. Back to the present, Nobunaga's group discovers that they can enter the trap room from the hideout area that they were just in, but if they leave the area and attempt to come back, the trap activates and they are teleported. Before Phaeton can just jump in to the trap himself, Kenny Wang and Hinrig approaches them with the plan. Hinrig transforms a transmitter he has into an oyster and eats it. In the event that he is killed, at least the transmitter will be inconspicuous enough to remain in the hideout for a while until they can find it. In the meantime, Nobunaga's group is to use the receiver to find the hideout. Hinrig arrives at the hideout to discover that no one is waiting for him. Nobunaga follows right after him, much to Hinrig's surprise. One thing I noticed is that Nobunaga is very trusting. He was very nice to the boys when he first captured them back in York New.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy at heart.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the more chill Phantom Troop members.
Yeah.
He has interest in other people.
Yeah, for sure. A little friendship starts to develop between Hinrig and Nobunaga as they search the room for any Haley people that are there. And lo and behold, they do find it. Nobunaga and Hinrig are eventually shooed away by the goons that are waiting in the back room there. But not before Hinrig managed to leave the oyster transmitter behind and allow the other troop members to go and find the room again. Banolanov, as Hisoka, encounters the real Hisoka, who's been on tier 1 this entire time. This cues up Banolanov to transform into somebody else and wait for Chrollo to arrive before making his next move. Nobunaga's group shares with our bosses their findings about the Haley and are granted access to the upper floors through their door. Although here it's revealed that Kenny Wang has been an agent of Morena the whole time, so damn. No bueno. Nobunaga heads back down to...
That smile was on purpose.
Yeah.
He said you had nothing to worry about, and it was.
Yeah, he had everything
it wasn't
to worry
even
about.
just a coincidence. It was on purpose because he's working with Morena.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it might have been semi-coercive manipulation.
I don't think so.
Nonetheless,
I don't think that's what semi-coercive means. Okay, so
it's a card game semi-coercive, pseudo-coercive.
Pseudo-coercive. I don't. It's not a card game. It means like to coerce someone is to force someone.
He might have lost the card game, and that's why he's with them now.
Maybe. We don't know why he's with them, so it could be. Anyway, Nobunaga heads back down to the lower tiers after some talking with one of the higher ups at the Cha'ar, explaining that the Haley goons may have infiltrated the waste treatment staff that's headed by the Cha'ar, which is bad because that's how they've been gaining access to being able to kill so many people and set up traps and such. So Nobunaga heads back on that hunch and to hunt for more Haley guys that have infiltrated the Cha'ar, while Finks and Phaeton proceed onward to tier 2. Speaking of GU, they found out that someone from the Phantom Troop has killed Lynch, and now they're onto the fact that they haven't really found Hisoka. Borkson is captured by Morena and forced to join the Haley via a complicated endgame that I refuse to get into here.
Coercive.
Yeah, actually coercive. During this game, it's revealed that Borkson is a specialist, though we don't know what her ability is, and that the Haley headquarters is hidden between tiers 2 and 3. In the middle of all of this, martial law is declared, and it's revealed that Benjamin has been poisoned and has 10 hours to live, and he's using those 10 hours to rush himself to the throne and declared his illegitimate child his successor. And there you go. From there, we're caught up entirely up to the chapters that just have started coming out 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Boy, I hope I haven't missed anything, because this is our longest pre-show chat show yet. Took longer than, well, it took about as long as I thought it would. Honestly, I'm surprised it didn't take any longer than that. But there you go. That's the Hunter x Hunter, a futile attempt to keep a short recap of Hunter x Hunter's Succession War arc. Any questions, boys? Any missing gaps that you need filled? Pause.
Shit, not really. That was concise.
Did you talk about the Beyond Kids?
I did talk about the Beyond Kids. I mentioned Long Hee and her whole deal. I know I did because I wrote it down and I read it. I wrote it down and I read it.
I wrote it down and I read it.
Yeah, this is. I mean, honestly,
Beyond
say again.
Netero was the what smoke?
Oh,
Getter? What?
he's a Hall of Fame smoke wanter.
Yeah. He is.
Him, Isaac
Just like
Netero.
Just like his dad, Isaac as well. Yeah.
You know, he followed
Gone.
into the NFL with his dad. Is like into the smoke wanting league with his dad, and is doing just as good numbers. The Phantom Troop, all supreme smoke wanters. Hisoka, god tier smoke wanter.
Yeah. Gone.
Gon,
Freaks.
Gon Freaks, big time smoke wanter. Beyond. Oh wait, we said Beyond. Jing Freaks, big time smoke wanter.
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah. He
Anybody
does.
who wants to go
he
to the
does.
Dark Continent that bad is a smoke wanter for sure.
Yeah, you want smoke for sure, for sure. There's no other way to express that.
He's an
You do.
all-star, I would say. He's not a Hall of Famer yet, but he's an all-star. He's first team all-star smoke wanter.
It's only because we haven't seen that much from him.
Yeah.
He just sunned these niggas though, like the the temporary hunters.
Well, wanting
He
smoke,
sunned them.
being a smoke wanter has nothing to do with how strong you are or how better. It's just how much conflict do you
Smoke.
want in your life. It determines how big of a smoke wanter you are. But yeah, there you go. We ought to. If there's no more questions, we should probably just get straight into the main show. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This took a lot of work. I had to read this arc 3 times.
Congratulations that you went through with it and it came out very well.
I hope so.
Yeah, good job.
I will
We
try
covered
to.
damn near every detail.
I will try to edit in little visual aids to this episode. The audio version of this podcast may go out first, if that's the case. But yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube for a visual version of it. I should have put together a PowerPoint. I was regretting that like 2 days ago. It's like I could have put together a PowerPoint and that would have been good. But whatever. Anyway, all right. Next week, regular pre-show chat show will be back. Normal pre-show chat show. But till then, see you guys in New Jump City. Bye.
Later.
Peace.